We could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the Parents' Lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the Parents' Lounge is the cure to staying sane. Welcome to a very special edition of the Parents' Lounge. Jamie Kaler, Jason Gowin, and Kate Mulligan here. Like we are every Tuesday, we have a fantastic show. Mr. Bill Engvall is going to be joining us in just a second. Thank you guys for all tuning in. Just a quick reminder, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, I believe Twitter. Definitely follow, like, subscribe, write a review. We're on iTunes. If you missed this, definitely find it on iTunes, and you can watch past shows and listen there. Do me a favor, and if you have another friend who's a parent who could use a little break and a little laugh, then share this show with them, and we're all in this together. You guys excited for tonight?
Deeply.
He's my favorite. I mean, he's one of my favorites.
I know.
He's so great because he has been through everything that we're all currently going through. So he's always got the path for us to go down, and his advice has been very helpful to me in the past.
It's an odd combination of hilariously funny and actually like super useful. So
yeah,
he's one of my oldest friends in the business. I got to tour with those guys extensively, and it's always an honor and a privilege to have him here. Please welcome Mr. Bill Engvall tonight.
Hey,
buddy.
So So to the people that are watching this, I don't know. Hopefully I did it right, and my Facebook people should be in on this. So hopefully.
There's a bunch of new names, so it feels like yes.
Oh, they're all in, Bill.
So the drink tonight is ranch water. Are you familiar with ranch water?
Yes.
No.
It's Topo Chico, tequila, lime, and simple syrup, and it is delicious.
Yeah.
It's called ranch water.
Yeah.
And
It's weird because
like pre-made,
you took a delicious drink and you kind of gave it a bad name, in the opposite way of Rocky Mountain oysters, where you're like, oh, Rocky Mountain oysters, that sounds delicious, and then you find out it's cow testicles, and you're like, oh,
listen. You would have to be pretty naive to not know what Rocky Mountain oysters are, and if you order them, I think that maybe there's some issues you need to deal with.
Yeah.
Are they not good? I've never had them.
People say they're good. I will just take their word for it. I don't feel any need to validate it. I can't even think of a reason why I would ever order them, especially if it was the only thing on the menu. I literally would say, do you have any kale? And I don't eat kale.
I would do it if it would have to be a pretty impressive dipping sauce for me to put them in. For me to
there's a dipping sauce, Jason. Don't you worry about it.
It's a tad salty.
I walked right into that.
You did. It's creamy. It's a creamy sauce, and it's you get there's very small portions in it, but it's delicious.
I mean, not to make the IQ of this show go down, but I feel like I've had worse in my mouth, so I'm probably game. I'll be honest.
Yeah, you definitely have had worse in your mouth.
Now there's a door that creaked open that it's going to be hard to shut now, Kate.
It's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Bill, the questions are already coming in about touring again.
What would be worse than bull testicles in Kate's mouth?
I'm like, I don't know, Dickie Murphy oysters. I don't know what to tell you. Okay?
Wow.
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 This show just took a really dark turn.
And it went early.
guys
It turned
started-
early.
It happens so often, Bill, that I actually just have a scrolling clearance for us, so Jamie and I don't take any cancellation.
I'm just saying, you guys dangled the carrot, and I hopped up to it,
Yes,
and I
you did
nibbled
hop
on
up
it.
to it.
And as I hopped away from it, I made a sex joke. So there you go.
So
You're
we're
welcome.
we're 2 minutes into the show, and we've had 175 sexual double entendres. So those will hopefully continue.
New record.
Dude, it's always great to have you on this show. And here's what I love about it is it's right before Father's Day. So I want to talk about Father's Day
Yes.
Day gifts. Is there a Grandfather's Day that I don't know about?
I think there is. There's a Grandparents' Day, but it's a total Hallmark thing. There's, it's kind of pointless, really. It's like Aunt and Uncle's Day, really. Yet there's a card for it. Father's Day was always interesting because I think I know that one year I got an ashtray that she made out of clay. Then I think I got a tie, which I don't wear ties. So Father's Day is you know what Father's Day to me is? That's it. Why don't you have that day and let Daddy sleep in?
Yep.
Little maybe if I would avoid the breakfast in bed thing because God knows what the kids put together for that. Yeah. And it's also a chance for your wife to get back at you. She goes, "Oh no, Daddy loves cinnamon jujubes on his eggs," So, but Father's Day, fathers are. I tell you what, funny. At least it's funny to me. Is that it's somebody said Grandparents' Day.
Yeah, Judy said Grandparents' Day is in September.
Kathy, you know way too much about that.
Yeah.
Well, the Hallmark people just went to the calendar and said, "What's a free weekend that we can make more money?"
Wait, we got Labor Day. No, that won't work. So, but it's funny being about fathers. I always said that I would never be like my dad.
How'd that go?
And I found the older I've gotten, the more exactly I am just like him. And you know what? I figured the reason is because he probably didn't do that bad a job.
Yeah.
I think we all think that we're going to do, I remember one day my son and I were talking and I said, all I want is before I pass on is for you to look at me and go, you weren't as dumb as I thought you were. And his response was, that's probably not going to happen. So, but my dad was great. My dad was awesome. That guy, we lived such a bizarre, he was a doctor in the Army. He was it was called the some health program. So anyway, so basically we got moved every couple of years. And like I lived on the Hopi Indian reservation for a number of years. I was very young, but I do remember like every Christmas, we had a donkey. And we had a donkey and a horse. And I'll tell you why, Kate, because you're wondering why you have a donkey. Because
no, I just feel like you buried the lead. Open every story with "I had a donkey." I'm sorry.
It's basically the Banshees of San Antonio.
Yeah,
basically, right?
And basically, the reason we ended up with a donkey and a horse was because the Native American ladies and they didn't have money, so they traded. So for Dad to deliver a baby, they gave us a horse and then a donkey. And,
holy goodness.
So I remember every Christmas, my dad would trailer the donkey up to the top of a mesa that was like 800 feet high, where there was a little village with kids, and he would be Santa Claus for these kids. And they would give us I have hanging in my wife and I's room a rug that's probably 5 by 5 that was hand woven by a woman on a loom, and she dyed the yarn. And like I was given a handmade bow and arrow with eagle fletchings as feathers as the fletchings and hand painted, and which is, I wish I had it now, but when you're 9, you go, this sucks. I can't play with it.
Yeah.
But Dad always had, he always, family was very big to him, even though he was gone quite a bit, because that was back when doctors made house calls and stuff. But he always found time for us, whether we went camping or, he would throw the football with me in the front yard or help me hit a baseball, So it's funny because if I had to look back over the years that my dad was alive, if I had one regret, and this is going to sound really weird, I wish that he had disciplined us more. Like when I went off to college, I was not ready for college. I mean, I got to, because I was a parent's dream. I didn't smoke, cuss, didn't bust my curfew. I was respectful. I got to college and it was like a whole nother world. And I think my first semester grade point average was 0.76. And instead of jerking me out of college and saying, let me show you what the real world's like, he said, well, if that's the best you can do. And I knew it wasn't the best I could do. I was just being lazy. But that's why, I wish that he had been a little stricter then. Now looking back, it's funny because one day I had started to make some money, and we were visiting my dad, and he and I were having a scotch together. And I said, Dad, I want to repay you for the college that you wasted on me. He said, it wasn't wasted. He said, you learned what you need to learn. And, sometimes books are not for everybody, and you learned how to deal with life. And I said, I know, but because back then I went to a little school called Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas. And even back then in the 70s, it was still like $60,000 a year. It was not a cheap school. And the only reason I even got into the school is because he went there. And he gave money, and I had, it's not going to be good when you walk into your freshman English class and you have the same professor that he had, and he was like a straight A guy. That's and he goes, oh, are you going to be like your father? And I'm like, well, if you like to drink beer and chase women, yeah, I guess we're.
Well, apparently you learned how to write a joke and tell a story, which I believe are two very lucrative skills in this world.
It's interesting, Jamie. You just triggered a memory. When we were kids, my dad we had to do this every Sunday night. I think we did it for 3 years. We all had to write a story. It didn't have to be a long one, just a story. And it was all the kids. And I was the oldest, and even down to the youngest. They had to write a story. Then Sunday night we would get together in the living room, and you had to stand up and read your story. Which, looking back, probably was the first seed of my end up on stage and telling stories.
That's incredible.
It's so funny, Bill, because we actually just talked about this recently. So my daughter, I was punishing her like stupid things where it was like no TV, no whatever. And I was like, well, this is not helping anybody. So I started making her write a story every time I punished her, which is probably bad because then she's going to associate that with punishment. But I said, listen, it can be a story. It can be a poem. It can be a cartoon. It can be anything creative. But I want you to write a story about what happened and why you felt the way you did and acted the way you did. And I have like a few of them taped to the wall. They are absolute gold. Where she's like,
that's a brilliant idea because I would just go the opposite way you said. Not only is she learning how to write a story, but she's, as opposed to, like you said, I'm taking away your Xbox or blah, blah, blah. They don't care. It's like they know they're going to get it back.
Yeah.
And it's Dad was always great like that. Just really supportive. I remember he was an anesthesiologist. This is my dad. He was a general practitioner for 40 years. Then he went back to college and became an anesthesiologist. So, it's like he was way too disciplined and had goals. But he one day I was back at his house and we were talking about, I forget what we were talking about, but out of the blue, he goes, I've always wanted to try what you do. And I said, you want to try comedy? And he said, yeah. He said, he goes, because he said they've done a study, and I thought this was fascinating, that when you go in for surgery and you're under anesthesia, if the mood in the room is light and, it's not all heavy, that you tend to heal faster post-op.
Wow.
And so he was always very funny anyway. I still have people that come up and say, man, your dad was one of the funniest Dad loved teaching, and so that would have been his dream. I think if he could, he would love to have taught med students. But they all said, he was very funny, and it was I know for a fact that one day, this shows you how times have changed. When we lived in Winslow, Arizona, he was one of 2 doctors, and so him and my mom had gotten divorced, and we went with Dad, which was weird at the time. That never happened. But I'm sure the judge said, well, he's a doctor and you left him for a league bowler, so I'm going to give the kids to him.
Oh, God.
It was at least elite bowler, not just a guy in a league on a Tuesday night.
He probably carried a 180 average.
He was at least a good bowler. It wasn't just some dude in a league who put up like a 112, 115.
He's not the guy that holds up the shoes and goes, there you go, come on. But back then, like, he would get a house. Someone would call. They would literally call the house. And he and I shared a room, and my little sisters had another room. And he said, I got to go. Do you want to go with me? And so he goes, I got to go to the hospital. And I would sit in the emergency room where the patient is. I just sit in the corner and wait till he was done, and then, but then like he would let me drive home. Like I was driving when I was like 12, not without him, but I was driving a car.
That's Texas. That's old to Texas, man.
I think they call that a Texas Uber, right? That's a Texas Uber.
But he was awesome, and it was sad when we lost him. That's the one thing I think, anybody that's lost any parent, it's like to this day, he's been dead now 7-8 years. And every once in a while, like I'll be watching a Cowboy game, and he and I would always call each other during the Cowboy games. And I'm going to call my dad. Oh, that'd be a hell of a phone call if I could get that one to go through.
Yeah.
But his presence is still around, and I know he's watching over me and my family. And one day I'll be with him again. But we had so many great trips, like the camping trips.
You can't help it when you see your kids. Of course, you start thinking of your dad and stuff. Hey, as an anesthesiologist, when he put you to bed at night, did he go, "Hey, good night, buddy"? Count backwards from 100, and then
no, he was very cool. But I did see him one time. There was a lady getting ready to go into surgery, and he walked in and said, "Hey, I'm Dr. Engvall. I'm your anesthesiologist. Just want to let you know everything's going to be great. You're going to come out of this shining." And he turned to the machine and he goes, "Oh, this is new. I haven't seen this one before."
I'm sure he probably talked to the other doctors and they were like, "Hey, when does your son Bill go to sleep?" 8 o'clock sharp.
8 o'clock.
Exactly. 8 o'clock. You're like every night. You're like, man, I go to bed at 8 and I'm just down. I don't know. I'm just out.
Okay, so here's a question for you young parents. Do your kids still go to bed when it's light outside?
Yes. They're in bed right now.
Yeah,
it is a sticking point with my 7-year-old. In fact, he tried lawyering me about that, and he said his exact quote was, "It just seems unnatural to me."
He's right, by the way.
You got a great point.
Totally right.
It is. Gail said she could remember vividly that she'd be in bed and the sun would be up and her friends would come over and go, "Can Gail come play?" They're like, "No, she's gone to bed." You know that people like we were. I'm sure we did, but where we lived, back in Winslow, I mean, only rule was when the street lights came on, we had to be back at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the opposite's true too, because in the winter, when my kids were super young, it would get dark at like 5:15. I'd be like, "Bedtime."
Yeah.
And they'd be like, and they go, "It's only 5:15." I go, "But it's dark out."
It's dark.
Oh, sure. Now you can read a clock. Come on, get in bed.
Jason, you were just saying that your son's saying that just doesn't seem natural. I love when little kids come up with adult stuff. Autumn, our granddaughter, we're down in Scottsdale at the house, and they came and visited. And I don't know where we have a new corgi puppy, and it's so Dutton, Autumn loves Dutton. And so my friend, I don't know where he found this, but it's a little statue of a gnome riding a corgi. And so so they came to visit, and we used the Facebook portal a lot. And so before they came, we said, "Hey, Autumn, we've got this gnome who rides this corgi puppy, but he doesn't have a name yet. So you're going to have to name him." Literally, they were down to our house in the next week. And she came up and she goes, "Papa, I've been thinking about this for ages. And we're going to name him Boopsy." And I said, "Okay, we'll call him Boopsy." And the whole story behind Boopsy was at night, he would come to life and run around the backyard. But then when the sun started coming up, he'd freeze wherever he was. So every night before we went to bed, we'd have to go move Boopsy around the backyard.
God. You elf in the shelf to yourself.
It was elf in a shelf, yeah, for sure.
Also, I love when she says she's been thinking about it for ages. It is ages in her life.
Yeah,
like a week is 1/52 of her. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
so funny because she loves. My daughter was telling me that she loves watching Bluey.
Yes,
and I actually like Bluey too because it's the dad's not perfect. It's like but they're Australian.
Yeah.
So Autumn's been watching this, and my daughter called me one day and she said, "Oh my God." Autumn and I were sitting at a table, and she goes, "Mom, I think I want to go draw some pictures. Do you want to give it a go?"
I will tell you, my sister's son, when she had him only watching Sesame Street. This was ages ago. He's 16 now, but so he only watched Sesame Street. So he used to always watch Ray Charles, and Ray Charles, as you know, when he plays piano, he has got movement.
Right.
So my nephew, who when he was 3, sat down at my parents' piano and he played piano like this because he didn't know that's not just one person's style. That's just how
what other way is there to play it? I only know that one, just that one way.
Back to forth.
Please tell me, Kate, you got a video of that.
You know what? This is like when videos, like it wasn't on our phones. I mean, this is how long ago it was. So no, I don't think we had like the camcorder out or like I think it was Go phone. No, what were those little cameras?
Well, they had I remember it was funny you talk about we have so many videotapes of the kids. But we got to go get them digitized because
remember we had the VHS,
a big camera.
VHS.
That's another thing I remember about my dad at Christmas. He had one of those like the kind of camp, like the
old reel to reel.
It's an 8mm.
Big bar of lights that hooked to it, and he would film us coming in for Christmas. We're like, what? We like those little gremlins, like light.
Oh my gosh!
I actually have a question from the chat.
I was going to say, there's a
really
million
quick. Let me
questions.
tell everyone out there that there's so many comments. So if you guys have questions, definitely put them in. We'll try to ask Bill as many questions as we can get to.
Right, so Jeff says, "I hold you for. I'm scared. I'm in my 20s. I'm scared because I want to have a family and be a father, but I'm scared to bring children up in a world that they. You know what, Jeff? I'm going to tell you this. The world's going to be what it's going to be. I'm sure that when I was born in 57 or 56, that the Korean War, I'm sure our parents and their parents with World War, the world's going to be what it is. And you can't, if anything, I would say that kids help you get through that the extra peripheral stuff that you can't control and you can't understand, you can with your kids. And they're unfortunately, somebody took a bite of an apple and it kind of screwed it for all of us. But it's going to be fine. I whatever happens in the world, one constant I can count on is my kids. And that's
the kids I think they take some of the cynicism out of it. Because there's such an innocent and naivete that there's a beauty to it that it makes us childish in our views. Like, why do I care about this when?
Yeah, I got you right there. Yeah.
My kids just introduced horrible insecurity. I had my son, we were folding laundry. We've been trying to teach our 7-year-old to fold laundry, and he held up a pair of my underwear and he goes, these would make a great hammock for me to sleep in the backyard. And I was like,
He's pretty funny
They're out of
already.
the will.
He's writing jokes.
Yeah, he's.
I mean,
got-
to be fair,
it
they're
is weird.
fat shaming
though,
jokes,
like,
but
because kids have no bias. They don't
they
see
have no
the
filter.
evil.
Yeah.
I remember. Do you want to talk about an idiot? One day I was picking Emily up. She had a sleepover at a friend's house whose name was Jennifer Chow, who later grew up to be a Laker girl, which was weird. When I was watching a Laker game, and she goes, "Yeah, that's Jennifer Chow right there." I'm like, "Wait, she slept in our house." But they were just little, and so I picked Emily up from Jennifer's house, and we were driving back, and I said, Emily, I said, is Jennifer Chinese or Japanese? She goes, she's neither. She's just like us. And I went, okay, there's
I
the
love
stupid dad
that.
award.
Yeah, I love.
Well, yeah,
that.
yeah, Jeff, enjoy your, I don't know where in your 20s you are, but I would tell you this: if you want to take trips and stuff and really enjoy them, do it before you have kids.
Yes.
I was going to say the same thing.
I love my kids, but when you bring kids on a vacation, it's like bringing your dog. It's like you got to find someone to watch it. It's like,
Oh,
yeah.
Bill, you used the word vacation. I'm so confused. My kids have fantastic vacations.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have full-time jobs. I'm a driver. I also finance it.
You're
Yeah.
the,
I
you're
wanted
the
to
lone
write a
officer.
Yelp review from my child to be like, oh, this all-inclusive trip was fantastic. We had
Yeah,
a wonderful time.
Yeah,
My driver got a little grumpy a couple times. I only gave him 2 stars, but aside from that, everything else was fantastic.
I didn't know that the driver could take my iPad away, but okay.
I guess, yeah, he has that kind of.
Threatening to turn the car around, but I don't know. We were in Hawaii. I didn't know where he was going to go.
By the way,
Somebody-
Jamie, if your daughter was really smart, when you tell her to write a story, especially because she's in this city, she would be like, I don't know if you know this, Dad. I can't write a story right now because all of us writers are on
That's
strike.
right.
That's what she should be telling you, is that there's
Yeah.
a strike and she can't do it.
Yeah.
Jamie's fear is that she's going to turn it into a mini series, and it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
I won't even get to play myself. That's what's really the most horrible
We're
thing.
We're looking for a Jamie Kaler type.
Yeah,
A
and
Jamie
I'm like,
Kaler.
You would not be perfect. Bill, I'm sorry to bring something back, but you said you went to school in Georgetown, Texas.
Yeah.
I know Georgetown, Texas is being very nearby the Salt Lick. Was the Salt Lick
Oh,
there at the time?
Salt Lick in Austin, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I was
Yeah.
gonna say we had
But
friends
there's-
that lived in
I tell you
Georgetown.
what, though, Kate, if you get back there, there's as much as I love the Salt Lake, there's so many better ones right now.
I know. There's like
There's some
Rudy's.
guy there who every day at lunch, it's just a line around the block.
There's like a Franklin's bar. There's like Rudy's and Franklin's, I feel.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. But
Yeah,
Salt
Austin
Lick-
was,
Woo!
when I grew up, when I was in college, where I went at Southwestern, the county was dry.
Ooh.
And so we had to drive basically to the next county over, which I guess somehow in the politician's mind, it was like, okay, we don't want the kids drinking here. So we're going to have the election when school's out. And then the first time they had the election when the college was in session, it passed like in a heartbeat. But, it was, there was a place in Round Rock, Texas on the way to Austin. It was called Adeline's, and it was just a house that somebody turned into a beer bar with 2 pool tables. And we would go get a case of Lone Star. Okay, here's something you can't do anymore. We would do this thing called Rollin'. And what Rollin' was, and it was a great date. It was a great date because you had to talk. We would drive to Round Rock to Adeline's. We'd get a case of Lone Star and 2 sausage wraps, which is just basically a German sausage and a piece of white bread with mustard, but it was delicious.
Sounds good.
And
Well,
then
let's face facts. It's delicious because you're very drunk.
well,
I mean,
yeah,
if
that may have helped too. But
If you
actually,
walked
no, I
into a
went back
restaurant at
and-
noon, stone sober, and I served you that, you'd be like, "What the?"
And I went back sober, and they were still as good.
I was
The,
gonna say,
okay.
It sounds,
All right, then
it
that's
sounds
my
like
bad.
a really good combo.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
And so then what we would do is there was all these, they call them farm to market roads. And it was literally roads that the farmers would take to bring their stuff into town.
Mhm.
And we knew all the back roads, and you would drive 5 miles an hour and drink beer and talk. And if somebody had to pee, girls went to the back of the car, boys went up front. And it was you couldn't do it. It was basically
Can't do
drinking
it
and
now,
driving, which now you couldn't do. But
We used to go to the drive-in. We had a drive-in movie theater in my hometown.
oh,
which
the best.
doesn't exist. And we would everyone knew the row, and we'd all park in the back, and then you'd have your own private car, but people would get out of the car and hang out, and we'd put a fire in a trash can. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Nobody filmed
we
it.
did
You
it,
were
but
never
we
like,
was-
someone's going to film this and destroy my life. It was magic. Yeah.
we called them guard parties because it was where in the summer, lifeguarding was the best job other than comedy was the best job I ever had in my life. And I did it for like 7 years. And we would have guard parties because there was a liquor store that was next to the drive-in that would sell beer to an 8-year-old if he had the cash. And we would go sit on the front row in our lounge chairs.
Yep.
And watch. I don't even know if we watched the movie, but it's funny talking about this. As I've gotten older, I've started to realize that there's this innocence in life that I really miss. Just little like that, guard parties, or like we used to go. I don't even think kids do this anymore. We used to go parking, where you would get your girlfriend and you'd go find some quiet, secluded street and just make out for hours.
Yes.
It was just the best.
Yes.
We were up at the table.
Had a little bread.
We call that Rocky Mountain oysters where I come from. But okay, yeah.
Well, I think, Bill, what back then you could listen, and I think video has helped a lot of people who have been in predicaments and stuff. But as a kid growing up, you could theoretically make a few mistakes, and it wasn't everyone on earth didn't see it and go like, the drunk.
I am so happy there were not cell phones when I was growing up. It was just that's the one thing I wish these kids didn't have to deal with. Because I just think it's changed society. But yeah, I used to love. Oh my God! All right, so here's a question for the room.
Okay.
Now mine's going to be different than y'all's because you're all younger than me. Best makeout artist.
Musically,
yeah,
I got a few. So college would have been Roxy Music. If you could get like Brian Ferry, oh my gosh, Barry White, of course, and any kind of Motown stuff like that. But specifically when I was in college, Roxy Music Avalon had just come out. And the girl came in the apartment and that was on, it was like, it's the Rob Lowe, Demi Moore scene where they put the headphones on or whatever. And then he plays the music with her and stuff. For me, Roxy Music in college was a big one.
All right. Kate?
I mean, I immediately had the answer that is going to get me canceled, get all of you guys, welcome to cancellation because it's starting now. When I was in college, it was R. Kelly.
It was R. Kelly?
That makes total sense, actually.
It was the remix to Ignition. Oh,
well, listen, it worked for him. Why wouldn't it work for others? It worked beautifully for him.
Wrong.
All right, Jason, what was yours?
So mine, the first song I made out to was "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing" by Aerosmith.
Hey,
wow, that's a good one. That's a good draw.
So I didn't have the looks to go with it, so I had to set ambiance, or I wasn't getting anywhere.
Were you watching Armageddon at the time? Was that what's happening?
Oh yeah.
By the way, for people who are watching, let's see. We would love to read a list. I want to hear all of your makeup music.
What are your makeup music
right now?
Mine was any song off the album "The Best of Bread." And if you have never, I made out to the Doors. The Best of Bread.
I know
was
Bread.
That was like I had an 8-track. I put in an 8-track in my car just so I had 2 8-tracks. I had The Best of Bread. And I had Leon Russell Up on a Tightrope.
If a picture paints 1,000 words, then why can't I paint you?
We used to make out till your lips were chapped. I mean,
That's so funny. Do you remember giving albums to, I had a girlfriend in high school, and Elvis Costello. I still to this day, when I play Imperial Palace or Imperial Bedroom, I always think of her. And I gave another girl in 8th grade Rumors, Fleetwood Mac Rumors.
Oh yeah, we gave.
You gave the physical record?
I gave a girl a record for with a present.
I had
she didn't give me anything. She was shocked, and I had also taped a necklace to it. So it was Rumors, Fleetwood Mac Rumors, the necklace, wrapped it, gave it to her, and then she, here's what's weird, her name was Karen. True, very true. Karen.
Yeah, I had a girl, when we were moving from Winslow to Dallas, a girl gave me the Chicago Transit Authority album, which I still to this day, one of my favorite albums.
It's a good one.
That's a good one.
Richard Marx.
Any 80s music.
Richard Marx has been on our show a couple times. He's the best. And that's absolutely true. Richard Marx is total makeout music, and Rick Springfield. Great.
It's so weird no one else is saying R. Kelly. That's so weird.
And there's Brad. Paula.
There's Brad. Rush 211.
It's weird to me too, Kate. I can't imagine why that is. It's weird, very weird.
Back up to Brenda Wood, who's like got Rush, because from what I understand, Rush had no female fans. It was always just a dude fest at a Rush concert. REM was a good one.
Nice.
See, that was kind of past my makeout days. Yeah. Although I will tell you that when I was dating Gail, I would go to her apartment and we would lay on the floor of her apartment and we would put on, oh my God, what are the two guys? Air Supply.
Oh,
my wife's favorite. It's one of her karaoke's.
Air Supply.
She crushes it. Yeah. She loves it. And they're coming. They're coming here. And she's like, we should go see Air Supply. I think they're at the Bowl or something.
You know what? We saw them and they actually still sound pretty damn good. But yeah, we'd be making out and I'd unbutton one of her buttons and another one. And then she'd go, I got to go to the bathroom. When she come back, that shirt would be buttoned all the way back up.
Leave that up there because John said Enya. And I had a girlfriend who loved the Irish.
Yeah.
Oh. And the girlfriend had stars. She had the glow-in-the-dark stars all over her ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
This
is probably too old for you guys, but my room was lined in black light posters.
And the Panther? Was the Panther up there?
No, I had the one. It was the naked couple that stood back to back, and they made like a mushroom.
I totally remember that one. That was epic.
Yeah, that one, and I had an Onward Through the Fog blacklight poster, and my kind of rock and roll one was Iron Butterfly. That was what my mom was convinced I was on drugs.
That's a deep cut.
Can I ask you about the blacklight posters? Because for me, blacklights are amazing, except for my teeth show up as yellow as they are.
Yeah, you got to keep your mouth over your lip over your teeth because.
Oh, you want to do this?
Yeah, I had I remember I was like I would get into these phases. Like I remember my dad took us to Disneyland, and my favorite ride in the whole park was the Haunted Mansion.
Absolutely.
And so like I came back and I would do I had beads on where my door would be in black light, and I had a glow in the dark skull. Poison or rat? Okay, Kevin, that's it.
I mean, were you just sitting there making out, going round and round?
Oh my God.
Boston.
Boston was big. Actually, Boston was pretty. That was my era. Boston was pretty big.
And that's why I talk about like the. I don't know. Maybe it's just like I said. Maybe it's age speaking, but I just my girlfriends. We never had sex. We just made out, and that was like good enough. It was like her dad would flip the porch light on and off.
I don't know about that.
I'll tell you, you say I don't know about that, but if you've never had it, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah,
it was just enough. And that
was my fault. I was stupidly went and had it, and then I set the bar. And
how young though, Jamie? You spent some years just kissing. No,
a couple. I was 16.
Yeah, I mean that's like 15, 16 years old. But it was like I remember. Like
8th grade making out. I totally remember 8th grade making out.
Yeah, doing that, and her dad would flick the porch light when it was time for her to come in, but I always dated to the good girls. I mean, like this one girl I was in high school. Oh my God, I washed her dad's cars, I mowed their lawn, anything, and she just was. I'm like, all right, it is what it is.
You got to learn to play drums and treat them horribly. Then they love you. That's the key. You got to be mean. Isn't it weird, though? I do remember vividly growing up, and there was always that mentality of like, some girls I really, really liked. And so I was so over the top nice to them, and they couldn't, they didn't feel it. Because people want what they can't have. So you have to, it's a weird dance to be like, I don't like you, but I do. It's like anytime like boys are mean to Hannah, like she's like, oh, this boy picks on me. I go, Hannah, that means he likes you. That's how it works.
Yeah. That was the thing. You slug them in the arm.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember, I'll tell you, so this is one of my favorite memories. So Gail, we're both living in Dallas. We kind of started dating, and then we kind of said, well, we need to not worry so much about that and start seeing, and we ended up getting back together. We knew, but she loved this duo called Shake Russell and Dana Cooper. And they were kind of a folksy. Shake Russell actually went on to some pretty big stuff. They wrote Silver Wings.
I love Silver Wings.
And so for her birthday, they came over. They were just playing like a little nightclub. So I took her to see Shake Russell and Dana Cooper. And at the break, I got up and that's back in the club days. You guys remember? They were just, even singers were just standing at the bar. And I walked. I said, Mr. Russell. He goes, just call me Shake. I said, Shake. I said, this is my girlfriend's birthday, and she is like a huge fan. If you could just come over and say happy birthday. He goes, yeah, no problem. He walked over and shook her hand and said happy birthday, and she told him she loves Silver Wings or Silver Threads. Silver Threads.
I like Silver Wings.
Yeah, Silver Wings is going too. But and so he walked away finally again. It was like she was in junior high. She like punched me in the arm. She goes, I love you.
That's funny.
We love you.
So funny.
I love you, you big palooka. And so, of course, my thinking was, all right, tonight's the night. So we finished, the concert was over. I start driving back to my apartment. She goes, where are you going? I go, I just thought, man. She goes, no, you better take me home. It's like, God. There's something magical in those jeans, and I got to find out what it is.
What was your wedding song?
Silver threads and gold, silver threads and golden needles. Yeah.
What was your wedding song, Bill?
Yeah.
You know what, dude? Our wedding was such a shit fest.
Oh.
It was. Now you got to remember that was back in '82, and I remember her mom came to us and said, if you'll elope, I'll give you $7,000.
Oh.
Which was about what a wedding cost back then. So we didn't even have a dance. We had the ceremony, then we had the reception at the Hilton. And like my friends were like making doggy bags, taking food from the wedding. It was just, I often wish we could redo it, but there was also a charm to it that,
yeah.
So, we were, there was no first dance song, and
okay, I would honestly, in retrospect, I would have taken the $7,000.
I said let's take $7,000. We'll put $6,000 in the bank. $1,000. We can have a kick-ass party.
Yeah. And the wedding song is money, 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 money. That's what the wedding song is.
Mulligan, what was your wedding song?
It was Wilco, California Stars.
Oh, that's a sweet one.
Yeah, it was sort of a little.
Jason, what was yours?
Faithfully.
From Iron Man.
Faithfully.
Faithfully.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was, however, wearing an Iron Man suit. Yeah, so it's.
I initially thought you were saying Faith, like by George Michael. And I was like, well, I think it would be nice if I could touch your body.
Not a bad wedding song.
That's a good option.
Her mom wouldn't have had it.
So here's something that's changed. So my little niece got married, and I officiated the ceremony. And so we're at the reception, and any wedding I've been to before, there's always a thing called a cash dance. So if I wanted to dance with the bride, I walk up, give her $100 and dance with her. If you want to cut in, you have to give her money. So they get a honeymoon fund.
Where?
I tried to do this at my niece's wedding. These kids don't carry cash anymore.
No.
You
have to do a dollar Venmo, the wedding Venmo.
I'm going to Zelle you some money if that's cool. I'll Zelle.
Yeah, it's like, no, carry. Who doesn't carry cash?
I love carrying cash. I think carrying cash is such a power play at this day and age, because there is always going to be a time when you're going to be out and it's going to be like, well, it's cash only. And I'm like, don't worry.
You know what's funny?
By the way,
it's the opposite now. Some places will not take cash. A lot of places won't take cash.
Yeah.
Well, I don't go there.
I gave a guy the other day, I bought a cup of coffee and I gave the guy 20, and I swear to God, he looked at me like, what do I do with this?
He couldn't do the math. He was like,
no, so I had to put a $2.40 charge on my Visa.
Ugh.
So
he was like, "Can you insert this $20 bill into the credit card terminal and wait?"
You know who it hurts the most? I used to bartend, and of course, I would make all my tips, right?
oh yeah.
And so at the end of the day, you were supposed to declare how much you earned for tax purposes. So you would be like, you had to legally declare like 8%. And so everyone's like, nah, every day this year I had a bad night. I just got 8%. And you wouldn't. Nowadays, they know exactly what you make.
Yeah.
Exactly. You and I were talking about that the other day, Jamie.
Yep.
I
it
actually
goes right
still
in.
try
You don't even, so these poor bartenders are getting taxed on every cent that they're
I actually still try to tip in cash.
I do too. I throw I'll tip, and then if they're really good, I'll put an extra 20 or something in there.
Put that money.
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
I have seen Chris Howell just said some people see old money and think it's fake. I have seen that happen a lot recently.
They're like, no, this is real. Wait, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I thought that it was a passé thing now, counterfeit.
No, they're just saying they don't even they're so used to not seeing it.
I got you.
They're just like, is this real?
Yeah.
You've officiated a lot of weddings, haven't you?
I've done 7 weddings.
Holy.
Yeah.
And 2 baptisms.
Wow.
And I officiated my dad's funeral, which was hard.
Yeah.
Not as fun.
Not as much fun.
No, not as much.
Any wedding advice for people out there who might be
you know what? This is just my personal thing, but like, my daughter, this whole destination wedding, like foreign destination. I always said, have your wedding. You can have a really nice wedding in the States and get the rest of it and go on a kick-ass honeymoon or put a down payment on a house. Because it literally, I think if anybody, one of the good things about our wedding was there was not a lot of stress because it wasn't a big wedding. It was like, but when you got to like who sits with who, and my friends are idiots. I don't want them there. And I would just say, you're going to remember the night anyway. My thing is, I would say don't go overboard because, like we had a friend, his daughter got married like in Italy, and so everybody had to fly over to Italy, and it was just like, I say, have a great wedding. You can have a great wedding, and still put some money in the old bank because it's gotten where like my wife's dress, the church, the reception was all less than $7,000.
Yeah.
Today, my daughter got married.
The dress nowadays is $7,000.
It's $7,000. Yeah.
I will tell you, my parents lived in the Philippines for 3 years, and they happened to live there for the 3 years that I was getting married. So I went to visit them, and I actually had my dress made for $500. I had 3 dresses for $500 in the Philippines. And it was like a little top that attached to a long skirt for the church with a little thing that went over it, and then a short skirt that attached to it for the reception. $500.
There you go. I think people get wrapped up in all it's just in like Gail had a great idea. We did it with our daughter. Is we said, here's the budget. Mm-hmm. Whatever you come in under that budget, we will give you in cash.
Oh, I love that.
So like you say, all right, let's say you keep it under $250.
Yeah.
She came in like at $150 and got a nice little honeymoon fund.
See,
that's a house down
brilliant,
there.
Phil.
Brilliant.
It's like I said at the top. It's like that's a really smart.
Because if you don't set a budget,
but
because they're not paying for it, the kids aren't paying for it. They don't see. It's like, say, yeah, that's all fine and good. It kind of goes back to my dad again when he said, when I wanted to buy a car, and he said, I'll help you buy the car, but you're going to pay me back.
Yeah.
So I got, he would pay half and then he'd say, that's good. But as far as a wedding goes, that was Gail's idea. I have to give her credit, but I thought
that's really, really smart. Because otherwise they would have just looked to spend the money to go like, look, we got this money. We got to use it or we're going to lose it. So to say you get to keep the portion of the money you don't spend teaches them to then go on the best budget they can and be rewarded for it. You're rewarding them for smart financial planning.
And Emily's wedding was amazing. It was at Steamboat Springs up on the mountain. And like everybody took a gondola up to the wedding. And like when they were coming down, they had a special wedding gondola that everybody signed a chalkboard inside of it.
Oh,
that's amazing.
And, it was the best, and she and Will walked away with a pocket full of money.
Yes.
That's
That's
really
fantastic.
smart. Gail, that's really, really a smart. I'm
Gail's
totally
amazing.
stealing that.
She's a smarty.
I was gonna say I had also heard, and this is something that I don't know that I'll be in the position to do it, but I think it was like Susie Orman or somebody had said, if you can pay for your child's college, don't let them know. Let them take out the college loans in their name, and you, whatever it is that you say you're going to help or whatever, and then that way they have respect for the fact that they're at school learning. They'll maybe take it seriously. They're going to have credit built up because of loans. They're going to work, they're going to make money, and then when they graduate, you pay it off.
Well,
it's low interest. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
When we gave my son a car to use, he treated that thing like a piece of right. It was but when we made him buy his own car, buddy, he was washing that thing and keeping it clean, and so it does, because when they don't have a dog in the fight, what do they care,
That's my least favorite thing, and it kind of came from my wife, but my kids started saying, Dad, we'll just buy another one. I go, that is the wrong answer.
Yeah.
But just buy another one.
That's the generation they're raised in now. It's just, and sadly, it covers a lot. Your phone breaks, get a new one. Your stereo breaks, get a new one.
Let me ask you this. Don't you think they're trained for that? Because products now, that piece of cloth in the other room that woman made on a loom and hand dyed that'll be the last thing left on Earth after the end of Earth, right? Because that's how people made things. We had one refrigerator my entire life. We had one phone, nothing. We never bought anything. And now you have to, because the stupid computer chip that's in your refrigerator, they go, well, the fridge works, but the computer doesn't work. And you're like, well, why does it have a computer? It's just, I don't need a radio station on the front of my refrigerator. I need it to cool things. That's it. But they don't. They plan this thing knowing that it's like and it's always like, well, it's a 2-year warranty, and the thing's designed to break like 2 years, 4 hours later.
That happened with our furnace. The furnace itself was completely fine, but the motherboard on it was almost $5,000.
Yeah, and everything else it's just cheaper to buy a new one. I mean, it's the same price. You're gonna the motherboards with the money.
That's all. You go like I was the washing machine down at the ranch was on the fritz, and we brought a guy out, and it was literally cheaper just to go buy a new washing machine than to have this guy fix it. And I same with cars. Cars are built to last 2 years. Yeah. And then they're out. It's like, but I think you're right, Jamie. We are raised in that, people get a new phone just because there's an added feature on the newer release. I told Gail the other day, I swear to God, when this phone craps out, I'm going back to an old flip phone.
Me too. Did you see what the newest feature was? This is what they thought of. They've already done all the new cameras and everything. I don't know if you saw the ads. They were the new iPhone, it's yellow.
Yes. We've run out of ideas.
They go, and I go, wait, so I'm going to buy a new phone? And people go, yeah. But the thing is, everyone puts a cover on their phone, so nobody even knows the cover. Why don't I just buy a yellow cover and put it on my phone? But that's their ad of it's a yellow phone.
It's yellow, and they get commercials for. I tell you what, that drives me nuts. I had to go get a new iPad, and when you buy a new iPad, you have to get a new charger because the old one doesn't fit.
Yes.
And so then I went into the Apple store. I left my charger in Denver, so we got back down to Arizona. I went to the Apple store and I said, I just need to get a wall charger for my iPad. And he goes, okay, and he hands me this box. And I said, is the cord in here? And he goes, oh no, you'll need a cord too. And it's like, how much?
It's not just the cord. They give you the cord, but it doesn't have the prongs to go over the wall. You have to buy the cord and the prong thing separately. And then if they go, well, everyone has that. What if we make a 4-hole cord? What if it's a cord you have to dip it into a bucket of solution? What? It's insanity. It's just another way to bleed us of money.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but Rex Harold just had the greatest question of the night. It was he's here for Bill, and he needs to know, who are these other people?
Well, I still don't know.
Oh, I thought he was talking about Bill. He's talking. Oh, that's about us.
I'll tell Rex. These are some of my dearest friends, and every once in a while we all get together. They do it every Tuesday, but very funny people and very good people, and they're fun to hang out with. So hang out. They got great guests on every week. I kind of keep up with who's on it. And
well, Bill, what we normally call as Parental Mental Health Tuesday, because basically it prevents most parents from putting their fist through a wall on a daily basis. To hear, I think it is really, and it's great to have you here because your stories are not only funny, but they have so much information, but they make everyone else feel so much better about what we're going through because there's no guidebook. You're like, what the hell?
You know what, Jamie, you're right. And that's one of the things that drives me crazy. Like when we were starting to have kids, I see all these books about how to be a good parent, how to raise the perfect child. Let me tell you something. There's no books. You gotta deal with each kid individually. You can't put a blanket on them and put them in a box, that this is what you got to be. And just like our parents did, it's like there was a friend of ours having a baby, and she goes, well, the doctor, this lady, a friend of ours went and did this, and this is how they get their brain power up. And I'm like, or you could just read them books. There's a novel idea. Kids love books.
They actually do. It's so true.
Sometimes they do. A lot of times they just want to play Kirby or Animal Crossing. And
I
have to literally. So it's made me read more because it's hard for me to go read a book and then lay down and watch a movie. Lately I've been getting books and I'll just go. Sometimes I'll make her read out loud, but other times I'll make her just lay next to me and read, and I'll read. And it's so funny because I haven't read that much for years, and so I'll read like 3 pages and I just fall asleep in her bed while she's trying to read.
Dude, we all do. I tell you, the saddest day of my life was the day my kids stopped taking naps. Oh my God. I used to love
that. Just happened to me recently, and it was the worst thing that has ever happened to me ever.
My little dog Emily would go down for a nap, and I go lay in bed with her, and she'd be in the crook of my bed. It was out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was
Travis, on the other hand, did not really like taking naps, so we had to drive him around in the car. And then when we got back, we couldn't even get him out of his car seat. So Gail would sit on a bench on our front porch with the sliding door to our van open so he could get some air. And he'd just be like this in his car seat.
Yep.
You should have had your dad. Hey, you should have just had your dad come over and go, hey, it's nap time. Count backwards from 100.
Here's your new friend, Propofol.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got to tell you, they Propofol, when I went in for my colonoscopy, because I'm 40.
Oh my God, I had that too, Kate.
Oh my God, it's the most fun I've ever had in my whole life.
The guy that did our colonoscopy is actually my next door neighbor, which is weird. But when I went in for my colonoscopy, they gave me some Propofol. They wheeled me in this room. There was blue lights and the Allman Brothers was playing. And I said, you can do whatever you want, man. I did.
Can I tell you, as I was going under, I said, Michael Jackson, I get it.
I was at when I was having my knee replaced. Gail filmed it. She's probably got it somewhere still. But I said, look, I want you to film this before they take me into the operating room. And I'm going to post it. And she goes, okay. So the doctor comes in and we're talking and she's filming and he puts the needle in the IV. And I said, so what is this? He said, this is 2 cc's of, and it's all medical. I go, so he just put in 2 cc's of Propofol and it's kind of cold. And it's weird. And all of a sudden I turn to the doctor and I go, do you fly fish? And he goes, yeah. And I go, you and me need to go fly fishing. I'll pick you up in my truck and we'll go down to the Provo and we'll just fish all day long. And the next thing I knew, they were going, you need to wake up now, Mr. Engvall.
Oh my God.
And I said, and what we'll do? We'll take quesadillas.
Nothing keeps like a quesadilla.
Every trout camp I've ever been in, they got fish and quesadillas.
Quesadillas. Just cold quesadillas.
Well, listen, if you're looking for a perfect Father's Day gift, you still have 10 days to get some Propofol. It's pronounced, right?
Propofol, I think. Yeah.
Propofol.
Apparently also known as the 6-pack.
Prop is known as, yes, it is, Rex.
Is that right? Why? That's not. Is that true?
The 6-pack. Wait,
a 6-pack? I want to get it.
Oh. I have to say it was for anybody who has any reservations here. Hey, listen, Bill, I know you've probably copyrighted it, but here, if you've been worried about getting a colonoscopy, here's your sign. Don't be no.
And by the way, on a note to all the guys watching, I know it's weird, but you don't want to mess with that other thing.
No, you sure
don't. It's actually the worst day for me was the prep. And
the prep is the worst. Yes.
Yeah.
That's nothing going in. That's everything coming out.
That's one of my favorite bits. When we would tour, you had that was in your set at that time. It was like one of your closing bits, I feel like, too, about you going to get a colonoscopy. And I would sit in the back of the theater and I watched it maybe 100 times, and it was so good.
There was, thank you, Jamie. It's very sweet of you. It's funny. Somebody asked me the other day about retirement. And I said, well, I'll still do acting jobs if they come along on TV. But I watch these guys now, and they're writing such good stuff. Like I watched Nate Bargatze.
Oh, I was about to mention him. Yes.
I watch him and I go, I can't do another poop and fart joke. It's just got to be something hipper. And I watch these and I go, maybe it was time. It was a good time to lay it, to walk out. Because I see some of these younger people that are, God almighty, they're funny. I mean, just like slay the room, like I had a great career. Don't get me wrong, but I never.
I feel like Bargatze and you are very similar in tone, where you guys just innocent, sweet stories that are just riddled with.
Well, that's what Nate,
but so simple.
He opened for me one time, and I remember thinking, he won't be around. He ain't gonna be opening very long.
I thought I saw him early on, and I was like, oh, it's so effortless. He's just got that natural tone to him.
The cadence and by the way, I just saw that he sold out Red Rocks in Denver, so he's doing okay.
Goodness.
Yeah, they're all selling out there.
I do think the real parallel between the two of you is Nate Bargatze. For whatever the vibe you get off of him is, this is a genuinely good human, and that is exactly what is appealing about you, Bill. Is that you are a genuinely good human, and that it's so easy to laugh. Yeah,
none of them are mean spirited.
Well, I think I really do believe this too, because when I was growing up in comedy, there was no YouTube, there was no. I think it'd be interesting to see what would have happened in my career if I had had the same avenues. Because when I was growing up, it was you cut your teeth in the club. It wasn't doing a 5-minute video and posting it up for 2 million viewers. It was that you had 200 people in the club, and you hope to God they spread the word. Oh my God, hello from Winnipeg. Winnipeg. I was there in February, and they call it Winterpeg. And it was as cold as I've ever been in my life.
Ooh.
We stayed at a hotel called the Viscount Gort. And it was right across the street from this mall that you would just go just because of the warmth. And I had rented a car. And they have in Winnipeg in the winter, for those who've never been there, the plows are constantly. So you have these like 6-8 foot walls of snow on either side of you on the roads. And a lady cut me off, and I slammed on the brakes and skidded into a snowbank. Well, there was an RCMP behind me, and he pulled up and turned his lights on, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a little pissed." And he said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm pissed." He goes, "Are you from the States?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Let me just give you a little tip. Don't tell a cop up here you're pissed, because it means you're drunk." Yeah, good. No, well taken.
Oh,
that's really funny. Really funny.
Bill, you could own an island by now if YouTube was around.
Yeah. Bill, I will say, I don't know if you've noticed the rapid fire text or the chat that has come the entire time, but it does seem the number one question. Well, the number one sort of comment feels like people are saying, "God bless, we love you, we love you." Yeah, obviously. And the other is that people are asking, any chance you reunite, you go back out on tour? Any chance? Is there any chance?
I as far as the blue collar goes, probably not. That was lightning in a bottle, and it'd be different now.
Did you watch Ted Lasso?
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, I got mentioned in Ted Lasso.
You got mentioned in Ted Lasso. Did you guys watch it?
No.
He has a great analogy about the beards on the four guys.
I was just happy that he was
blindingly funny. I was like, ah!
Yeah, I was just happy that he was. They said the Bills is neatly trimmed, and yeah, like. But yeah, and as far as my individual touring, Katie, I don't know. Right now I don't see it happening. The only way it could happen is if for some reason I really started coming up with a lot of material that I would be proud to put out there. Because it was funny. I'll tell you a funny story. The other night, I actually went back to my Gail and I went to a comedy club because there was 4 friends of ours from Arizona that were comics that were performing there. Oh my God. It was a room of maybe 100 people. And I sat in the audience and it was weird. And Gail said, "Did you have any twinge about going up?" And I go, there was a moment, but it wasn't big enough for me to do it. It was like, and I don't want to go back out and regret it. I was so blessed that I have the greatest fans on the planet. My God, these people, they stayed with me through 42 years of this and they continue.
They're here.
And I don't want to disappoint them with a show that I don't feel would be up to snuff, at least my standards. And I want to leave people remembering good thoughts about it. I don't ever want to be that act that you go, "Oh, you should have stopped last year."
It's funny. I was actually going to ask you, because I'm guessing that there's some sort of scale, which is like you start off, and as your sort of popularity grows, so does your confidence, and then you get better, and then so you can keep putting stuff out, and then the popularity grows because you're getting better, and then at some point, I imagine that the popularity. At some point, I don't know. I certainly haven't experienced it myself, but at some point, the popularity probably gets in the way of you keep doing the thing. Or I don't know. I'm not articulating.
Yeah, no, I know what you're thinking. I think the other way I would go, but I haven't thought about this, was writing a show where basically it would just be me and have a chair on stage, a nice chair, and I would. A guy and a buddy of mine and I were talking about that when you come to the show, you are given a number, a phone number, and you set up a Twitter account. And I'd have like a burner phone that I could get just so that I don't have everybody's tweets on my Twitter page.
Right.
And I would take questions like, "Bob, where's Bob Jones?" Bob Jones, "Oh, hey, he wants to know." So, and then you do a funny story about that. Like almost like I would like to do something like Steve Martin did, but I don't play banjo. It's just like you'd have to market it. So like you'd have to say, "This is not the way you're used to seeing Bill."
Yes.
So like when Steve Martin plays a casino, they have to advertise and say, "This is not a comedy show."
Yeah,
because people see Steve Martin and they go, "Oh my God," and I would be the same one.
But so funny, Bill. I love that's the kind of formula I love, and I hosted this crazy wine symposium in Sonoma. And I go, it was a very serious. And the guy, he goes, "We're hiring you because."
Because what?
Jamie, you muted yourself.
Jamie, yeah. I was like, I honestly thought that was just me that happened.
No, he muted himself.
I'm like, I'm in the Matrix. Uh-oh. There he is. Oh, nope. Can't hear you.
Are you back?
The wine company just came in. And
we'll get back to
shadow
Jamie after these words.
Are you here now?
Hey, do you like drinking wine?
Who, me?
Jamie likes drinking wine. I'm just trying to do an advertisement. Look at him. He's still talking.
You're not back, Jamie.
Honey, you're not back. I don't know what's going on. Did you pull your mic out? It felt like you pulled your mic out, maybe.
Yeah, I think he might have pulled his mic out of the. Yep, I heard it just plug back in.
There it is.
There you go. You pulled your mic out, my friend. Pulled out too early. First time ever.
You were hosting.
So anyway, we go. But we did it exactly that way because they had 6 very serious winemakers and they hired me very specifically. They were like, "Hey, we want you to make it funny." So I wasn't sure exactly how to do it, except we did that. I said, "Why don't we just talk to the crowd and have questions?" So all I did was take a cordless mic, walk around the audience, and then have the audience ask the questions of the winemakers and then crack jokes on it. So you wouldn't even need a Twitter account. You just need a host or your MC or somebody with a cordless mic walking
Jamie's
around the
auditioning.
audience.
Yeah, Jamie's looking for another gig.
Yeah, Jamie's like,
I'm on my listen. I catch the flight
Hey.
tomorrow. I can be there by
he's like,
noon.
and also the mic's cordless, so I won't unplug it, so it's fine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I would love. Yeah, listen, I would take Jamie Kaler out on the road again. With that, we had
fun. We actually had some good time. We had a good time.
But anyway, well, I'm gonna have to run. As always, this show is so much fun for me.
I
Thank
know,
you,
we'll let you go.
fans who showed up.
Honestly, I was going to let you go at 8, but I was like, we're hanging on to you. So listen,
I know.
we're going
love
to wrap
doing
this as well, too. Bill, we love you. Thank you so much. Have a great Father's Day. And
you too, all the parents.
please come back soon.
All right, buddy. You guys be safe.
All right.
Thank
See
you
you,
so
Bill.
much, Bill.
Bye-bye.
You guys don't say
Get
anything
him
bad
outta
about
here.
me.
All right, now that guy who's on Bill's
That
channel is
guy's
going to be like, no,
gone, yeah.
seriously, who are these people? Why are these people here?
Watch the numbers
let's-
drop rapidly.
Well, listen, we got to go anyway. It's fine. it's
Jason,
fine.
tell everyone where they can find us and how to share.
You can find us every week live here Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at facebook.com/the Parents Lounge, on YouTube, Twitch, and at twitter.com/Jamie Kaler. You can catch the audio version on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every Monday and Thursday. We've had great guests like Larry the Cable Guy, Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall has been here a ton of times, Richard Marks, so many big
Dave
names.
Keckner. Who else? We've had a ton of actors and stuff. Joel McHale's been on the show. Thank you guys so much. Anybody else got anything to say? Mulligan's muted.
I muted myself
you
on purpose because there was an echo. I don't know.
Just a little thing. You can catch me this weekend at the Syracuse Funny Bone. I am opening up for Meredith Masony. So if you want, go to the Funny Bone in Syracuse and grab your tickets.
That's it. We will be back next week with
Whoever you booked.
Can I
Orly
tell you,
Shani.
I
Orly
didn't know.
Shani's here.
I didn't know who was our guest tonight. This is the
I know,
luxury
I
of
was
being.
So
surprised.
Meredith
I was gonna
Masony
tell
was
you about what it
supposed to
was.
be here, and she had a school function that was going to run longer than she was going to be able to get here for. So Mr. Engvall jumped in last second. for
What a
us.
saint! I love him.
So give us a follow. Come catch us every week and check us out on iTunes. And we are at the Parents Lounge. So thank you guys for tuning in. Super fun show tonight. Really appreciate Bill stopping by. And that's it. We'll catch you next week here in the Parents Lounge.